Hello everyone, welcome to Sharmit. From this session, we are going to start another very important topic for medical terminology, that is root word. We have discussed about prefixes, we have discussed about suffixes. So this session is in the continuation of the same, where we are going to talk about the medical coding terminology root word. Okay, so we are going to proceed in the very similar way. Firstly, I'll explain you what is root word. I'll explain you the all required pointers related to root word. Then later on, we will walk through couple of root word with their actual meaning and examples, because we all know that by learning through examples would help you to recognize the root word and the meaning of the terminology during the interviews as well as exam. Okay, or if you are working as a professional, that will also help you there. Okay, alright, so I think now we are good to start with this session. But before we proceed further, I just would like to recommend you to please go and check out the previously released sessions first, because they all are in proper sequence and sync. So if you follow them sequentially, then it would be much more easier for you to understand the ongoing topic, because for time being we are just mainly focusing on how to use root word and what is the purpose of root word. Okay, alright, so let's get started. So first question comes, what is root word? So if someone asks you what is root word, so you can simply reply in a way: a root word is a core part of a medical term that contains its basic meaning. Okay, so in short you can say that root word is a simple word that provide you the actual meaning or the basic meaning of the terminology. Okay, so you can say that when you read this word, it will give you 90% of meaning of the terminology. I would say 90%. Why? Because most of the thing is clear with this term itself, this word itself, and that is why we are calling it as a root word. Okay, next is, most root words refer to a body part, organ, or a system. Example, cardio is also a root word which is denoting heart. Hepto is also a root word which is denoting liver. And that is why we say that most of the time it often like root word refer to the body part, organ, and system. We will see most of the popular used root word, so there you will relate that with this statement. Okay, alright. The next third point is, it often needs a prefix and or suffix to make a complete medical term. So if you remember, when we discussed about the introduction of medical terminology, there we discussed that root word is a word that that is composed of prefix, suffix, connecting word, and root word. So here the root word is that only. Okay, and always remember that it can be used with prefix, it can be used with suffix, and it can be used with both at a time. Okay, so don't get confused that which one is a root word. You will find the combination of all these three things, and all these three things will make a proper root word. Okay. Now we will talk about the key characteristics of the root word. So here we can see that it may appear at the beginning, middle, or even multiple time in a terminology. Okay, so this is also one thing, that it can be present in the beginning. So don't get confused whether it is a root word or a prefix, because the word that is providing you the most of the information and it is related to body part, organ, or system, then it is for sure a root word. Okay, so here I break down it in a simple way, that prefixes modify at the beginning, suffixes modify the end, and then we have combining vowels, usually O, to link those parts. Okay, so this is just a simple breakdown. So let's see one by one some examples so that we will get more understanding of these root words. So the first root word we have is cardio. Cardio means heart. So if whenever there is a discussion related to heart, we will use the root word that is cardio. Okay, for example, cardiomyopathy. Cardiomyopathy means enlargement of the heart. Okay, so again here in this terminology, 90% of information is coming from this cardio only, because when we hear cardio, when we read cardio, it is clear that it is related to heart. So most of the thing you have got. Now you just need to find out the remaining thing like suffix or prefix, whatever is there. So here we have suffix megale, which is enlargement of the heart. Okay. Likewise, next example is cardiologist. Cardiologist is heart specialist. So again you can say that this is complete terminology, and the root word of this terminology is cardio. Sometime in interviews or exam you will find multiple choice question where they will simply give you the terminology, and then you have to find out the root word of that terminology and explain the root word. Sometimes they ask this kind of question in interviews. So you can simply watch these sessions and it will cover all the possible examples, and then you can simply prepare for your exams. Okay. The next thing is gastro, which is related to stomach. So if there is a discussion regarding stomach in a terminology, then you will find the root word, that is gastro. For example, gastritis, which is nothing but an inflammation of the stomach. So whenever there is inflammation in the stomach, we will use the term gastritis, which is composed of itis suffix and gastro root word. Clear? Then we have gastrectomy. Gastrectomy means removal of the stomach. Now here one point I want to mention, like usually how people learn about medical terminology, they learn about suffix, then they learn about firstly they learn about prefix, then root word, and then suffix. But I did a bit change here because I want to relate the suffixes and prefix. That's why I explained suffix and prefix together in a sequence, and then we are talking about the root word. And because of this, there is one advantage, that now you can easily find out the meaning of these words, like itis. So you know about the itis, you know about the ectomy, and it is also helping us to recall the things on time. Okay, and that is why we are covering the root word after completing the suffix and prefix, so that you can easily relate the things. Okay, all right. So let's move to the next thing, that is hepto. So hepto is always related to liver. So whenever there is a discussion related to liver, we will use the root word hepto. Like hepatitis. Hepatitis means inflammation of the liver. Hepatomegaly. Hepatomegaly means enlarged liver. There is a typo. This is liver. Okay, enlarged liver. Then we have next root word, that is neuro. Neuro means nerve. So when there is a discussion related to nerve, then in that case we will use the root word, that is neuro. For example, neurology. So we all know that neurology is a subject where study of nerves is the main agenda, right? Where student and folks study the nerves, and that is why we call it as a neurology. Okay, we also know the neurologist. Neurologist is a doctor or medical expert who treat the diseases related to nerves, and that is why we are using the terminology neurologist, where the root word is neuro. Then we have neuritis. Neuritis means nerve inflammation. So whenever you find this neuro related thing in your word, then you can see that it is clearing 90% of thing, that this is related to something nerve, this is related to something liver. Okay, fine. Now we have one more slide for the today's session, that is osteo, that is related to bone. So if the discussion is related to bone, then we will use the root word, that is osteo. Here we have few examples like osteoporosis, which is nothing but a porous bone. Then we have osteectomy, which is nothing but a cutting of bone. Okay, so osis, ectomy, these are the all prefix. These all are the suffixes, and osteo is the root word. It is not a prefix. Don't get confused. Okay, this is at the beginning, but it is not prefix. Clear? Last one is myo, which is related to muscle. So whenever information is related to muscle, we will find this root word, which is myo. For example, myopathy, a muscle disease. Myalgia, which is a muscle pain. Clear? So I hope these all root word is clear to all of you. Now you have understanding what is root word, and the meaning of we also discussed some of the example. In further session also we will cover so many examples so that you can cover most of the root word, and then it will help you to prepare well for your interviews. Please do share your knowledge in the comment section, because these questions are prepared for you only, so that you can recall the things on a time. Otherwise, when you are applying for the exam or interview, at that time you will forget all those things, because there are so many things that we are learning here, right? There are tons of I would say terminology, words, prefix, suffix. So the only way to learn is to recall it every time. Okay, that is why I'm giving this question. So please do share your knowledge. If you know the answer, directly write it in the comment section. If you don't know, you can refer the previous session, because there we have already discussed this thing in detail. Okay, so yeah, that's all for today. See you in the next session. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.